Hello, folks. Welcome to Holding On with Holder, where I talk to interesting people about interesting topics. My name is Steve Holder, and I am your host. My guest this evening is Sariah Hastings, survivor of human trafficking and a great witness of what God can do. Welcome. Glad to have you with me.
Thank you, Steve. I'm so glad and grateful that you can allow me to be on your show today.
Well, I'm honored. So, for those that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about you. Who are you?
Well, my name is Sariah Hastings. I am a survivor of human trafficking for almost 10 years now. I'm a published author of No More Games, and I am an advocate uh, speaker for for human trafficking, and I am a founder of nonprofit organization called Ashes to Beauty New England.
Okay, great. So you are a survivor of human trafficking and you openly and eagerly talk about it. Does it help you to talk about it?
No. I'll be honest with you. I just it's I talk about it so that I can let the next person know that they can be freed.
Yeah,
That's the only reason why I talk about it. But honestly, it's my past. It's something that I went through, and the Lord allowed me to be here today so that I can share it and to help the next person. So I do not particularly enjoy speaking about my past. That's the reason why I wrote my book, so
yeah.
that people can hear my voice, because I was silenced for 20 years and I couldn't say how I felt and what I was going through. But now I speak only so that there are women, children, and men out there that may be going through the same situation or know somebody who's going through it, and they need to identify the signs of what somebody might be going through. So that's why I speak about it.
Okay, you're very brave. So how big of a problem is this in the United States?
So it is one of the, I would say, the second leading problem in United States. The first is drugs and is drugs and alcohol, but the next one would be human trafficking, because it's such a lucrative business.
It is a lucrative business. How does that work exactly?
As far as getting money,
Yeah, how do people make money off of it?
well, there's a lot of ways. I don't know if some people remember the movie Pretty Woman with Julie Roberts, and in there you saw her being a prostitute. And what I tell most people is, when you look at that movie, there was two women, Julie Roberts and then her roommate. And Julie Roberts is the one that they focused on, to show, oh, she got a nice shiny armor, but she was walking down the street and a guy picked her up, and that's when he, she gave him amount of money to that she was going to charge him. Whereas if you saw the other girl, she was trying to get away from her pimp. She was trying to figure out how to make the money. She was struggling. She didn't know how she was going to, and that's actually what real life looks like with the her roommate, what a lot of women go through. So they have options. You can walk the streets. There is a hotel run, which is basically a girl stays in the hotel and the pimps line the dates. They call them dates outside the door, which that's what has happened to me many times. Or they'll go on websites. They have, Backpage, Redbook. There's many. Backpage was hit a couple of years ago, because a lot of nonprofit organizations brought it to the government, and they seized them and told them that this is what's going on with Backpage. And then there's also saloons where they do massage parlors where sex goes on and they get paid that way. So it all depends on what part of the country you're in, and depending on what is a normal flow of traffic to get money.
Yeah. Now it's mostly women and children that are targeted, correct?
No, it's 85% females and 15% males. And I say that because in that 85%, those are women and young girls, but that 15% is also young boys and men, that are involved in human trafficking. When you go to a strip club, there are male strip clubs and female strip clubs. There are women and men that are being human trafficked. So if you watch pornography, you're watching either a man or a woman being human trafficked.
Yeah. But not everybody that's involved in pornography or prostitution are victims, correct? And are some of them doing it because they want to, or am I just naive?
uh, it's um, it's kind of a lot of people think that they want to, and in actuality, I grew up in that lifestyle. So I was groomed for a very long time and a very young age. However, when it becomes normal, a normal thought process, a normal life, then it doesn't become as if they want to. That's just what they know. For 20 years of me being human trafficked, I thought, as my family told me, the only way I would ever have a husband is if I was in a pimp and hoe relationship. Basically, if I was being human trafficked, that was the only way that I would have a husband. So that thought process that went through my mind, that was okay, let me find a pimp who would be willing to marry me. And so it became normal. Okay, if I did this, if I do that. And so then their lifestyle becomes normal to them. And then sometimes they think that the money, because once again, the money is a factor. Some people, and I've mentioned it on a few other podcasts and radio shows, that I remember one time I made $9,000 in one day in less than 8 hours. That's somebody's salary, so in poverty, in a year. And so you're talking about people who make thousands and millions of dollars, women and men, and then you tell them, why don't you go to a real job, something that's a 9 to 5, and they see the difference. And a lot of women that are survivors, some fall back into that because they can't deal with the reality of the actual struggle of trying to maintain a real job. So they fall back into that lifestyle because it's quick money.
So you was pretty much set up for that lifestyle by your family then, correct?
Yes, I was molested at the age of 2 by family members all the way to the age of 16. And between at the age of 12 is when I was raped by a bunch of men, of boys. And from the age of 12 to the age of 18, I basically was groomed for being human trafficked.
Hmm. Well, what advice would you give to women and children to stay out of that? It might save their life, what to watch out for.
Well, the biggest thing that goes on right now, and I've been trying to bring the awareness for it, especially for parents, is when their children get text messages about quick money. When people are being sent on a spam text message, is almost like a big thread, group text. You get, 15 different phone numbers. You don't know who they are. And it says, hey, are you looking to make some quick money? There was a big hit in my area with some college students who they got a text thread saying, are you trying to pay off your student loan? Would you like to earn some extra money? Here's the number. And so people were texting that number, and a couple of people got caught up because they thought it was an actual interview for a job, and some got caught up into human trafficking. Thankfully, they got found and was able to get out. But I tell parents that they need to be more in tune with what's going on with their children. Um, in today's world, we are all about electronics. We're all about social media. And so children's faces are in a phone majority of the time. Whereas when I grew up, we were, play outside until the lights come on. And what are you doing? And where you at? And and stuff. And so nowadays, parents are not really asking their kids, who are you seeing? Who are these friends? And they're not, trying to figure out what's going on. So because of that, the disconnect of not keeping in track of what's going on with your children, they are able to fall into a pull of, oh, I'm gonna go see some friends. Well, that's what happened to me. A friend told me, come with me to a party. Okay, I go to this party and there's half naked women, there's drugs, alcohol being passed around, money, and next thing I know, I fall right into it. So it's a very much of parents need to communicate with their children, and that's what would keep them of being alert of what's going on around them.
So if parents would be more hands-on and pay more attention, that would be a big help, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
And alcohol and drugs obviously play a big part in it too, right?
correct. And see, a lot of people don't understand the reason why children fall into human trafficking is because they lack the love that their family is trying to give them. So for me, it's the insecurities. My family told me that I was fat. I would never amount to anything. I wasn't even supposed to be alive. Oh, there's all kinds of things that my parents and my family members have told me. But when you hear that from your family, or the neglect where, like I said, the parents are not paying attention to their children, then they go and seek it. And so that's how boys get into gangs. That's how girls get into prostitution. That's how this all goes about, because your family won't pay attention to you. Okay, since my family don't want to pay attention to me, I'll go find somebody who will. And usually it's the streets that will say, oh, look at me, the grass is greener on the other side, until you get out there and you see that it's just a bunch of dirt and mold and yuckiness, and then you get stuck in it and you don't know how to get out. So for parents to understand that they have to speak life, they have to speak positive things into their children, they have to pay attention to what's going on with them for them not to be in that lifestyle.
Yeah. So is it true that the United States is worse than some other countries?
uh, yes and no. The other countries, they're blatant, everybody knows that women are sold, children are sold. um United States, they are, as you said, naive, and they have blinders up, and they don't want to admit, when one reason why I wrote my book, and I wasn't even going to write my book, but a woman came to the program that I was volunteering at to help women get out of this lifestyle, and I told her my story, and the question that came out of her mouth was, or yeah, the question came out of her mouth was, um, what country do you come from? And I said, I'm from United States. I'm born and raised in United States. I'm a United States citizen. And she was shocked. And I said, this is in your back door. And a lot of people who have read my book, they think that it wouldn't happen in their city and there's, small town. But I know many girls who were from small towns, and maybe 500-600 people, and were caught up in it because they didn't went to college and something happened, or they left their city, or a boy came. And there's all different aspects, and people have to understand that this is not one particular uh social race. This isn't just, this is a black thing, this is a white thing, this is all across all nationalities. This is both males and females. This also deal with, poor, rich. You could get a woman. I've met women who were um, nurses and were hooked onto heroin and fentanyl, and they were prostituting themselves. Why? Because they were trying to get their drug, and they knew that they could get quick money if they prostituted.
Yeah,
So it's not just it's those people over there. No, it's all over the place.
yeah. Is there any particular type of woman that's more susceptible? I mean, does looks have anything to do with it, or?
I thought as a person who came out of human trafficking, I really thought that it was about the looks. But I live in New England, and when I moved to New England, I realized when I met some of these women, they look nothing like some uh, Detroit, Houston, Vegas, Los Angeles, Brooklyn, Bronx, uh, Atlanta. They don't look nothing like these women. All look different, and so it doesn't matter how you look. Like I said, I've been always heavy set. I've always been a heavy set woman, and yet I made thousands of dollars. It doesn't matter. So it's just uh, basically where you're located at, and not believing those movies like Taken and Priceless and Pretty Woman, and actually wanting to know, like, okay, what's the real story behind this?
Yeah. Now, you mentioned making thousands of dollars. Were you allowed to keep much of that money, or did it mostly go to pimp?
Most of it went to pimps. I My story is different, and I let everybody know my story. Every survivor has a different story. Um, I had lived in 33 different states, so I had multiple pimps. I had different pimps. I had one pimp where I gave all my money to, and they made sure that I had a hotel room, and if I did well, and I was extremely profitable that day, then I can get the drugs that I wanted, or I can get the food that I really wanted to eat. There were some pimps that I gave all the money to, and I went weeks and months without eating, other than some bags of chips from a gas station because I held money, and because they wouldn't come back with any food for me.
Yeah,
So all depend on where I was at and who was my pimp at the time.
yeah. So is it fair to say that not all prostitution is human trafficking, or again, is that just me being naive?
So human trafficking is the political words, for everyone, but like I explained to another interview, that human trafficking is the mother hub. It's the um, umbrella. Then you have three sectors. So you have sex trafficking, you have labor trafficking, and then you have child trafficking. So that all are different things. So child trafficking can be various different. You could have people using children to traffic drugs across state lines, or being human traffic, is used as sex toys and images and things like that. So it all depends on, once again, where you're at, what is going on in your community.
Yeah. So I believe you said you've been beaten and raped. Do you have any idea how many times, or is it too many to count? Or,
As far as how many times I've been raped,
yeah,
well, almost every time. There was many times my child's father raped me multiple times. Um, I had many pimps who did. I remember I had to, and I said this, openly and freely, that I had sex with about 3,000 men in a matter of 3 weeks, and 90% of it, 95% of it was unprotected, and I was used and abused. However, because my pimp said, you need to get that money, or I'm going to kill you. So it was either me die or me get the money. So I never once desired to have sex with men, um, whoever was there. So that was a constant thing. So, almost, like I said, almost 17 years of that, of just giving my body away to just whoever. I was beaten all types. I remember I had no place to go, and I needed a hotel room, or a room to stay in. And this pimp said to me, okay, well, you have to do some sexual acts or I'm going to kill you, and pulled out the gun. And he goes, if you want to stay in this hotel room, that's what you're going to do.
yeah,
So those are the things that I went through. Like I said, I know women who have gone through worse. I've seen a woman give birth on the streets, when her pimp, made her use drugs and then sent her out and she was due. And she literally gave birth on the streets, right then and there. And I couldn't, well, you're not allowed to, help because I was going to get in trouble by my pimp. So I
Yeah.
had to watch her scream and holler, and it was raining. The police was called and the baby was taken from her, and so I've seen horrific things, that most people, in a lifetime would never experience.
Yeah. Did I understand you correctly to say you had sex 3,000 times in 3 weeks?
3,000 men,
3,000
3,000
in
men.
3 weeks.
Yes.
Wow. And this went on for years and years and years at that pace?
Yep. It was, like I said, $9,000. You would imagine, some women could get it, on one date. However, I'm not the prettiest, glamorous woman. So I had to work for my money. So however I could get it, that's what I had to do. And by the grace of God, I have no age. My children are not addicted to drugs. I am clean, for almost 10 years now. So it's the Lord, does a work, and He is so beautiful in how He does it.
Yeah. Well, tell us about your book. It's called No More Games, correct?
Yes.
Well, tell us
Uh,
about
So the book is called No More Games because I'm tired. I was tired of playing games with my life. When you are in human trafficking, you play games. It's a Russian roulette game. Every day you wake up not knowing if you're going to see the next day. I tell people, that we're in 2021, and yes, a lot of people died in 2020. But for me, I rejoice because I wasn't even supposed to even see 2021, let alone go through this pandemic with people. So to be 35 years old when you're talking to somebody that was supposed to be dead at the age of 5, it's pretty awesome to see God move. And so that's what I explained to people in the book, that this is who I am. This is a woman who was desperate, who had no voice, was wanting so bad for people just to hear her. You hear a child's voice in this book about how scared, um, I was all my life trying to figure out, playing it by ear. And at the end of my life, I just got tired, almost 30 years old, and I was still playing with it, and I was pregnant. I was tired of that lifestyle. I was tired of trying to figure out how to just survive. And that's why I don't call myself a survivor anymore. I call myself an overcomer, because I live. I don't survive. I actually live. I thrive. And so that's what my book is about.
that. I like that. You're not a survivor, you're an overcomer.
Yes.
How did you escape all of that?
Well, the Lord, opened the door, I see now, but I was actually, I had went, to a state, and I wanted to get away from my pimps once again. So I fled to another state, and I ended up in the hospital. And because I was trying to commit suicide, I didn't want to live no more. So I had dug myself into, a deep hole of just using crystal meth. I was very heavy into it. And when I went to the hospital, I found out I was pregnant. And I called my pimp, and my pimp told me, "I don't care you're pregnant. I want my $1,500." And at that moment, that broke the camel's back. And I said, I'm done. And so I went into a shelter, and they got a plane ticket for me to come to New England. And when I came to New England, I met this woman, at a pregnancy resource center, because I wanted to, abort my child. And she convinced me to keep my son. She told me, I can't give you anything but Jesus Christ. And I said, well, I've tried everything else in this world. I've tried AA meetings. I've tried recovery homes. I've gone to all these different states, and I've tried all of the things that this world can offer. Why not give Jesus Christ a try? And so when I went to when I went to her and I explained that to her, and I said, okay, I'll give, Jesus Christ a try. She gave me the salvation message, and she told me to renounce the devil and to accept Jesus Christ. And I did. And uh, I have no money and I'm pregnant. And that's when she told me about a program in New England. And I went there. It was a 2-year program, New Life Home for Women and Children. And when I went into that program, they taught me about who Jesus Christ was. And from there, I went to a Bible college and I graduated with my associate's degree last year.
Wow.
And when I did that, that's when I realized, that's when I got introduced that, oh, you were human trafficked. I was a victim of that. And when I saw what it was about, I decided from that moment on that I would, if I can stop or find a way to save the next woman, child, or man from the horrific things that I went through, I would do whatever it took to bring a stop to this.
Yeah. Well, like I said before, you are a very brave lady. Very.
Thank you.
Now, when did you start writing the book? Was it last year?
No, I had published it last February, but I wrote my book. I started in February of 2019, and it was published February of 2020.
Okay. And this lady that told you about Christ, she worked at the abortion clinic?
Well, no, she worked at it was a pregnancy resource center. So it's called a PRC, and it's known around the United States. And what it is it helps women who are dealing with abortion-minded thoughts to tell them and talk to them, because they're pro-life, and to talk to them about what happens when you do abortion, how it affects you emotionally, how it scars you, what goes on. And so they fight against abortion. And so I sat with her, and the reason why, and I talk to women who become abortion minded, especially if they have been raped or whatever, that at the end of the day, yes, it's a horrific thing, but my child is almost 10, and I can't see myself without my son. I just, he's such an awesome, beautiful child. He wants to be a pastor. He wants to help people. He wants to worship. It's just so beautiful, and to know that in my mind, because of the hurts that I went through, I didn't want that to fall on him. Not knowing that Jesus, when you come to Christ, he breaks those chains and he breaks those curses and he breaks the bondage, so that your children don't have to experience what you experience.
Yeah.
So knowing that, that's what they try to promote for children and mothers, that they don't have to get rid of their child because of the fact that they may have been raped. But there is a way, and there not only a way, but there's a way to cope with it, and there is healing in it.
Wow. You have a wonderful story and a wonderful testimony.
Thank you.
Now, you also have a website, right?
Yes, it's
Would you
called
like to tell
Sariah.
folks about that?
Yes, it's called Sariah.info. And basically it's a website that if people would like me to come and speak, and to teach them the signs, and to do a one-on-one class with them, I have a website for booking. It also talks about my nonprofit organization, where if people want to donate and help in getting women, children, and men off the streets that are homeless and human trafficked, that is what I do. I literally go and I pull them and I look at them and I say, do you want help? Do you want to get off the streets? Do you want another chance in life? Something that is better. And so that's what I do. And then also, if a woman is looking for help, or if they know of a woman or a man or a child that's looking for help, that they can reach out. It's a way for me to connect them for wherever they're at in United States. There's many places that I know that will accept people to come into their programs.
Okay, great. So before I let you go, is there any final thoughts, anything else you want to say that we haven't touched on?
Just that there is another way out. So if there is a woman or a child or a man who's struggling, whether it is human trafficking or domestic violence. Like I tell most people that domestic violence and human trafficking are hand in hand the same. The only difference is human trafficking, you get money, and domestic violence, you don't. So if you are trying to get out or you need to get out, the first thing you want to do is cry out to Jesus, and then the second thing is to reach out. You can reach me. I have social media, Facebook, Instagram, or you can reach me on my website at Sariah Info, and I will help you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Sariah, for being my guest this evening. I am honored to meet you. I have a great deal of respect for you. You are a tremendous lady,
Thank you.
and keep telling folks what God has done for you. I know
Yes,
you will, and you will.
yes. Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Well, God bless you and thank you again, and I will let you go. Folks, thanks for tuning in to Holding On with Holder. Please subscribe to my channel. And feel free to share this video all over social media and tell folks about Sariah Hastings' book called No More Games, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Thanks again, Sariah, and you have a wonderful rest of the evening.
You too,
Bye
Steve.
bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.